When I started working on cruise ships, every single one of these was included. Board that same ship today, and most of them will cost you extra, or they have simply vanished. Over 7 years, cruise lines quietly removed dozens of things passengers once took for granted. Today, I will walk you through 15 of them. Like and subscribe for reliable cruise tips and honest insights. Cruising has changed more than most passengers realize. Not all at once, and almost never with an announcement. The changes arrived one by one, each small enough to go unnoticed. Together, they tell a clear story about how the cruise experience has been reshaped. This video is not a complaint. It is a comparison. What cruising used to include versus what you can expect in 2026. So you board with the right expectations. Number 1 on the list is the Midnight Buffet. For decades, the Midnight Buffet was one of the signature experiences of a cruise. An elaborate late-night spread with carved ice sculptures, ornate food displays, and dishes ranging from carved meats to elaborate pastries, set up in the main dining area and open to all passengers. It was a genuine event. Passengers dressed up for it, photographers captured it, and the culinary team treated it as a showcase. There was a ceremony to it that made the ship feel like something out of another era. Almost every major cruise line has now eliminated it entirely. The buffet still exists on most ships, but the theatrical midnight version is essentially gone from the mainstream cruise experience, and nothing has replaced the feeling of it. Number 2 is the daily printed newsletter. Every morning, a paper copy of the day's schedule, activities, restaurant hours, entertainment listings, port information, was slipped under your cabin door overnight. You could read it over breakfast, highlight what interested you, fold it in your pocket. Many passengers kept stacks of them at home as souvenirs. The shift to digital app-based programs has happened across most major lines. For passengers who prefer not to plan their day through a phone screen, this is a real change in the daily rhythm of a cruise. Number 3 is towel animals, delivered every single night. The cabin steward folding a towel into a swan, an elephant, or a monkey, balanced on the corner of the bed, was one of the most universally recognized and genuinely charming elements of the cruise cabin experience. Passengers photographed them, children looked for them every evening. Repeat cruisers compared which designs appeared on different lines. On many ships, it still happens occasionally, but not every night, and not automatically. The expectation is no longer part of what a cruise cabin promises. Number 4 is chocolate on the pillow at turndown. The evening chocolate, left on the pillow during the second service of the day, was a simple ritual that passengers genuinely looked forward to. You would come back from dinner, open the cabin door, and there it was, a small, wrapped chocolate, sometimes with a little card, sometimes just sitting quietly on the pillow. It cost the cruise line almost nothing, but it changed the feeling of walking into that cabin every evening. Most lines have removed it as a standard offering. Some premium tiers and loyalty categories still receive it, but for the average cabin, it is gone. A small thing, but one of those sensory touch points that made the cruise cabin feel like something more than a hotel room. Number 5 is the elaborate embarkation day welcome. Boarding used to feel like the beginning of something. Staff lined the corridors, a welcome drink was offered as you stepped on board, music played somewhere nearby, and the ship made a visible effort to mark the beginning of the voyage as something special. There was warmth to it, a sense that you were being received, not processed. Today, embarkation is almost purely a logistical exercise. The festive energy that once marked the start of a voyage has been replaced by crowd management. Number 6 is complimentary specialty coffee throughout the ship. Not long ago, a coffee from any bar or cafe on board was simply included. You walked up, ordered, and that was the end of it. No scan, no card, no charge. The rise of premium coffee culture and the industry's recognition of its revenue potential changed that calculation. On most major lines today, specialty coffees now sit behind a paywall, either through a coffee package or per-drink charges that add up quickly across a week. Basic drip coffee in the buffet and main dining room remains free. But the casual latte you used to grab from a cafe on the promenade deck while watching the ocean is now a purchase decision you make every single morning. Number 7 is the captain's cocktail party. Once a sailing tradition carried over from the golden age of ocean travel, the captain's cocktail party was a complimentary evening event where every passenger on board, regardless of cabin category, was invited to mingle with the ship's officers over drinks. It was formal, slightly theatrical, and genuinely social in a way that is difficult to replicate on land. The captain acknowledged you. Officers in dress uniforms moved through the crowd. It created a brief but real sense of community among strangers who happened to be on the same ship. Most mainstream cruise lines have now eliminated this entirely, or replaced it with a ticketed event, a loyalty-exclusive reception, or something so abbreviated it carries none of the original spirit. Number 8 is free self-service laundry. Several major lines used to include access to self-service laundromats as a standard part of the cruise fare. Washers, dryers, and ironing stations available on the passenger decks at no extra charge. For passengers on 2-week or longer sailings, this was genuinely valuable. You could pack lighter, do a midpoint load, and not worry about running out of clean clothes in a foreign port. On most ships today, this either no longer exists at all or has been converted to a paid service. For passengers who do longer cruises regularly, it is one of those quiet changes that directly affects how much you need to pack and how much you will spend on laundry by the end of the sailing. Number 9 is printed menus you could keep. In the main dining room, the menus were physical cards, often beautifully designed, sometimes featuring the ship's own artwork or illustrations of the destinations along the route. You would open one at the start of dinner, read through it at your leisure, maybe tuck it into a pocket at the end of the evening. Many passengers kept stacks of them at home as small souvenirs of sailings they had taken. Digital menus, accessed by scanning a QR code, are now standard on most ships, practically efficient. But the physical menu was part of the ritual of a formal dinner in a way that a phone screen simply is not. It is a small loss, and a real one. Number 10 is truly formal nights as a dress code event. Formal nights still appear on most cruise itineraries, but the atmosphere and participation have changed considerably. 15 to 20 years ago, formal night meant tuxedos, evening gowns, officers in full dress uniform, and a dining room that looked completely different. The theatre of it, which was precisely the point, has largely faded. Number 11 is the photo with the officers on the staircase. Staged portrait photography with the ship's officers, the captain, the senior officers, everyone in full dress uniform on the grand atrium staircase, was once a standard and anticipated part of every sailing. Passengers dressed up for it specifically. They bought the printed photos from the ship's photography shop and took them home as a lasting physical record of the voyage. Some of those photos ended up framed on walls. The combination of evolving privacy preferences, scheduling changes, and the ubiquity of smartphones has made this organized portrait session essentially a thing of the past on most mainstream ships. It is one of the things that sounds minor until you realize it was one of the few rituals that made a cruise feel ceremonial in a way that nothing else did. Number 12 is live music in multiple venues throughout the day. Walk through a cruise ship 15 years ago, and live music was a constant presence. A pianist in the atrium, a jazz trio in a bar, a guitarist by the pool, a band in the main lounge. The ship had an acoustic life that made moving through the public spaces feel genuinely different from a hotel. That musical richness has contracted significantly on most mainstream ships. Number 13 is the complimentary wine at certain meals. On some lines, a glass of house wine or beer with dinner in the main dining room was once part of the included experience. It made the dining room feel warmer. This has disappeared almost universally from mainstream cruise lines. Number 14 is free access to all pools and outdoor areas. On older ships and older itineraries, the assumption was simple. You paid for your cruise, the ship was yours to use. Every pool, every deck, every outdoor space was open to every passenger equally. On newer ships, launched in the last several years, this has changed meaningfully. Certain pool areas, thermal suites, exclusive sun decks, and outdoor relaxation zones now require either a separate spa pass, a suite category booking, or a daily upcharge to access. The idea that the entire ship belongs equally to everyone who boarded it has eroded, and on the ships designed most recently, this tiered access model is built into the architecture from the start. Number 15 is the all-inclusive feeling. There was a time when boarding a cruise ship meant leaving your wallet behind for the week. The fare covered food, entertainment, cabin, and almost everything you wanted to do. That mental freedom was part of what made cruising feel like a complete escape. The modern ship is designed to generate substantial revenue beyond the base fare, and that list of paid extras grows each year. Understanding this shift before you board is the most useful thing a 2026 cruiser can do. 15 things. Some are small rituals that gave cruising its distinctive feel. Others are practical changes that affect your wallet directly. All of them were standard not long ago. Knowing what has changed is how you board in 2026 with the right expectations and still find plenty of reasons to love it. Like and subscribe, wishing you a truly memorable voyage.